Platform 1 MRC. Glad you could join me again. Recently I've thrown this pallet rack up on a couple of the Facebook groups I'm in, and I've been asked how did I go about weathering it. As you can see, the rack and the drums there are nicely weathered, as with the pallets. Both the drums and the pallets are 3D printed, and I purchased them locally here in Sydney, Australia. What I have here are a couple of different drums. Each one's been painted with these enamel paints. It's just rattle can paint, so silver, blue, blue. But on the blue ones, I've added a little diamonds on there, the red diamonds, the warning diamonds, or the danger diamonds, whatever you like to call them. But these ones here are actually a white metal kit produced here in Australia, and as you can see, they're hollow. Hopefully you can see that. And I've just done them straight black. You can see there, they're silver on the bottom. The way I go about weathering these is I use Cars weathering powders. I've got a couple of colours here. I've had these for a good 10 years, maybe more, and they've done me really well. So I'm just going to take a little bit of black and a little bit of, I should say, the black and the orange rust, and we're going to mix it up in this container here. Now you don't need a lot of weathering powder. I'm just going to dab them onto there. As you can see, it's not much there at all. I'll grab a bit more. That should be sufficient. Maybe just a little bit more. There we go. Sorry if my hand's getting in the way. And some of the orange rust. And again, take about equal amounts. That'll do. And just mix them together. And you'll end up with a burnt rust. If you think it needs more black, just add a little bit more black. If you think it needs a bit more orange, go right ahead. Now, all these being done in enamels means that when I apply isopropyl alcohol to the surface of these enamel paints, it will actually soften the paint. What I tend to do is just spray a little bit in the corner of the tray here. If I can get that out. I might actually just take just a little dribble out. You don't need a lot of isopropyl or IPA, that's plenty. Doesn't matter if it runs into the powders either there. Now I'm going to use one of my favourite weathering brushes, this one here, and just going to dampen that. And as you can see, when you mix it, you actually end up with like a wash. Now it's this wash that we use to weather the drums. And basically just stab it in. Pick up a little bit more powder, stab it in. It's very light, doesn't look like much on there. You can see it on my fingers. And this will evaporate fairly quickly. I'm just going to put that one down and we'll move on to another one. I tend to do the inside of the drum a little bit more orange, you know. You could say there's been water sitting inside them or something like that. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. And we'll let that one go. And we'll do this last one. If I don't drop it to the floor, that is. Might take a bit more isopropyl. There we go. It's pumping out now. Pick the colour up and just dab it on. Just be random with the dabbing, you know. It doesn't have to be right over the whole model, the whole drum, and just let that sit. Now if we go back to the very first one we've done, you can see there the good colour in it. It's already starting to rust up. May need a bit more around the base and all that, so what I might do is actually add a little bit of the red. You don't, as I said before, you don't need a lot, just a touch. We've got enough there, I think, and I'm going to use this flat brush now and take a bit of the liquid there. You can see how much it bleeds out, and a little bit of the black brown. And I'll take this one first, and I'm just going to go around it lightly. I'll let that one go. You may see the red come through on that as it just sits there. I'll take this one, and where it's black down the bottom, I'm just going to put this red on here. Might just run up a little bit up the sides. You only want to put it on sparingly. That will do that. And then I'll do this last one here. Now if you think the red's too much, pick up a bit of the black brown there and just give that a hit. And we'll let that sit there. Let's go back and look at the first one we've done. You can see it's a bit more redder down the bottom. Not bad at all. I'm just going to take a bit more, mix a bit of this red brown in it, and I'm just going to touch him up a little bit more. The key is variation. You can get a good variation between all your drums or your barrels or whatever you're weathering up. It'll certainly make a difference. Now for the silver ones, I'm just going to use what I've got here anyway, and basically make a very, very thin wash of all that colour. You can see there. Now, we put that on lightly, it'll dry fairly thick, so I'm just going to dab that, grab one of these silver ones, and I'm just going to go around the drum as such. Let the stuff run like a wash, let it find its own level. Even across the top, you can drop it in there. You can see it's starting to stain up on the drum itself. You can see I'm putting on fairly thick there on this one and across the top, and we'll let that sit, and I'll follow through with the other two. It's a cheap, simple trick to weathering. Enamel paints, isopropyl, weathering powders, make a paste or a wash, and just apply it. Let the isopropyl do its thing, let it soak in, and away it goes. Now as you can see, I've got a little bit on my fingers. That don't take much to dry off. I've got a sponge here. I'm just going to wipe my hands down. Now these ones here, all what I might want to do is just a very, very thin wash over the top of these, because they are fairly new. So a bit more isopropyl in there, mix the colour right through, just a little bit up the top here perhaps, just flow it into the, yep, you can just see it sitting around the rim there. That's probably enough there, and I'm just going to go around the base here, just streak up the base like such where it's been sitting on the ground. Nothing more, nothing less. And let it do its thing there. But we want to stand that up. Move on to another one. Again, just around the rim, let it all soak in around the edges and around the spouts. Then around the base, like I did before, just streak it in around the base like so. You can actually see it flow off the brush and run around. So I'm just going to put that one down there. You can see the ring on the paper there where it's going to run off. So I'll get all these done. Might go a bit heavier on this one, and may even streak the whole drum. This one you can say this one's been out in the weather a little bit longer. Variation is the key. Let that one sit, and the last one. Now these blue ones that I've had the diamond put on, I've actually give them a clear coat as well before I started weathering, and I just use a basic artist sealer, a matte sealer, and it does the trick. I buy that locally here in Sydney or in Australia. You can pick it up from our Bunnings stores. It's just a clear matte sealer, and it does wonders. So there we have it. You can see the drums here. The front ones have actually rusted up really nice. They can basically go straight onto the layout. Now, you can give them a clear coat. It might dull them down a little bit, but they'll be fine. But I did say about the insides earlier. So I think I've got a finer brush here somewhere. I can't see it, so there we go. Excuse me leaning over the table. So what I'm going to do is take a bit of the red, the orange I should say, wet it down. Take these and we're going to go on the inside and just swirl it around. And hopefully you can just see in there that it's a little bit more orange than what it was previously. I will post up a photo on this video of the finished drums anyway. So I'm going to do all of these. Some of these could even be silver on the inside where they haven't rusted out. It all depends how long it's been sitting out in the oven for, but these drums, these white metal ones, are actually like a damaged, weathered, old, rusted up drum anyway. Well, there you go folks. Hope you learned something out of that. Simple techniques. Enamels down first, clear coat if you've got decals on it, isopropyl and weathering powders, and you're done. Alright, that's it for the tutorial. Cheers. Catch you later. Gary.